Welcome to my channel. If it seems like many people live their carefree and happy lives without any troubles, that's only because they haven't faced them yet. On the 24th of February 2022, we were sleeping in our bed when we awoke to the distant noise of explosions. It was early morning. The war has started, my husband told me. We heard about it on TV. We did not understand what to do. We were shocked. We began to call our friends. We didn't know exactly what we should do first. Initially, we decided to stock up on food. So we went to the shop to buy as much food as we could. Our neighbors also shared their food resources with us. The sound of explosions continued. Our house shook violently, making a terrible noise. We decided not to leave, but to wait. However, we tried to find a way to stay safe. So we blocked the window in the smallest room of our house, our wardrobe, which has protected by 2 walls, and we used this room for sleeping. To protect ourselves, we kept our gardening tools beside our bed. Those were horrible days and nights. We could not sleep. By the 5th day, we were exhausted. Our friends called us. As I remember, they were trying to encourage us, making jokes and laughing at our foolish idea of protecting ourselves from Russian armed looters with an axe and a shovel. We didn't want to give up and decided to stay in our house. Our dog was silent and refused to go outside to relieve itself. On the 6th day, we saw a plane through the window in our living room. A Russian aircraft was flying just above our house. We saw the lights that the Russian bomber had released right outside our windows. At that moment, we thought, this is the end. We prepared to die. But in a minute later, we realized that they were not rockets, but camouflage flares. It was a pivotal moment. We quickly gathered our belongings to escape. On that day, Russian troops reached Bucha. It was only 15 kilometers from our house. Our friends called us again. "Folks, are you crazy? You must run." We drove to their house, which was 30 kilometers from our village. We were relieved that at least we were not alone. We had taken the first correct steps towards our salvation. 3 years have passed since the challenging first week of the war. It was the most horrible week of my life. What lessons I have learned from this awful experience? First, never do anything without thinking first. Always make a quick plan, no matter how unpredictable or awful the circumstances you face. My second piece of advice: surround yourself with people or friends you can rely on in difficult times. If you are not a superhero or a special forces operator, you need reliable people who can help you in difficult situations. We are lucky to have such friends. They are wiser and cleverer than we are, and in fact, they showed more audacity than we did. So, folks, try to find not only friends around you who can share your everyday life with, but also endeavor to find and deserve wise and reliable people who can help you in times of disaster and grief. Folks, war is not an epic show. It's a paradigm shift that has profoundly changed my perception of the world. I'm reflecting on my previous life and the mistakes I made, and I think about what has helped me overcome these horrible years of war. So I continue with my third piece of advice: do not ignore the facts. If something is meant to happen, it will happen with absolute certainty. If you believe it won't affect you personally, you might find yourself unprepared and vulnerable when difficult times come your way. Before the war started, we lived happy lives as successful businessmen. We had a small chain of retail shops and our business was developing. We had everything needed for happiness in Ukraine. Of course, we were not ordinary Ukrainian people, as we had been entrepreneurs our whole lives. We certainly experienced ups and downs, and our past wasn't easy or cloudless. But the devastating impact that war had on our day-to-day existence forced us to reinvent our vision and learn to prepare for challenges before, not after they occur. 2 months before the war started, we heard from various politicians in Ukraine and the US that war was imminent. We knew that thousands of pieces of Russian heavy military equipment were positioned at Ukrainian borders, just 150 kilometers from our town. Yet we ignored the fact because we did not want to accept this unbelievable reality. We refused to acknowledge the danger. We were naively optimistic. If we had accepted the reality of the coming war, we could have taken steps to avoid all the horrible experiences we suffered during the first week of the war. And afterward. Here's my fourth piece of advice. Always have money saved for a rainy day. We were living in Ukraine a couple of months, hoping that the war would be stopped. We keep hoping, praying every day, but it was in vain. The horrible war is going on. So we made a decision to move out of Ukraine. We moved to Istanbul. Why Turkey? Because it's a sunny country with hospitable people, good weather, and many Ukrainians run there for escape. Sure, we had our reserve and could afford living there for a long time. In 2023 in Turkey, we witnessed the devastating earthquakes of 2023. Even in Istanbul, we felt its subtle tremors. On national TV, we saw countless people left homeless, just like so many in Ukraine. Many of them had no money to rent an apartment or even buy clothes, a big tragedy for thousands of people. In 2024, I saw news about the deadly flood in Spain. The flood in Valencia, with a toll as tragic as 200 lives, must have been a shocking and painful event to witness. The Spain government informed residents of the province, but most of them ignored that fact. Similarly, the fires in Los Angeles are a harsh reminder of how quickly homes and livelihoods can be lost, leaving people to face the challenge of rebuilding their lives from scratch. I hope you will never face an extreme war situation, but emergencies like natural disasters, fires, floods can arise anytime, as the climate is changing. Do you have enough budget to live on during emergencies? I hear many bloggers claim that high inflation and other risks make people avoid holding cash in favor of investments like bonds or real estate. Consider this. What happens if your insurance company doesn't compensate you quickly? What if you are left without a place to live for months or even years after losing your home? And what if you don't even have an insurance policy, or if your policy doesn't cover certain expenses like healthcare or the cost of rebuilding your house? Sure, cash might not be ideal, but at the very least it can save your nerves or even your life when you have it. If you are prepared and have a financial reserve, you'll focus solely on finding a solution to the problem rather than frantically worrying about where to get the money to fix it. My fifth advice sounds trivially. Pump your muscles before trouble occurs. All people have challenges, but not all people can overcome them. Post-traumatic stress disorder, depressions are becoming more and more widespread in many countries of the world. Okay, great. Imagine you saved your life after disaster. That is great, but how to live on? For me, the war put the stop button on my life, but all my life was not cream and honey. I had a lot of challenges that made my character. Prior to, I always enjoyed reading books. I continue now also, and I'm a great lover of sports activities. My life hardened me and my character and my body. What about you? Are you strong enough? Are you wise enough? Do you have proper people around you? How long can you live on your savings? Embrace small challenge in your life. Test your body and spirit by doing something extraordinary. Conquer a mountain, run an extremely long distance, or take on another demanding feat. Make this a habit, and you will find that you can overcome life's difficulties with great ease. When you cultivate the ability to overcome challenges that others may not attempt, you'll be better prepared to handle emergencies. This resilience can speed up your recovery time and, in some cases, even save your life. The last advice: embrace change. No one knows what we will face in the future. I have seen cruise missiles over my house. I have seen an empty city in the early days of war. And I thank God that I had the wisdom gained from books, from my parents, from my mentors to overcome these trials. I'm alive. I realized how insignificant my problems were until I faced the hardships of war. Memento mori. Remember that you will die. This principle reminds us that life is fleeting and hardships are temporary. Even when the world around us is filled with instability, wars, natural disasters, economic crisis, we are still alive. Now I love my life even more than I did before the war. And you can do, if you are prepared for any challenge.